Cinco de Mayo here, and you're part of this Lucha show, very fitting because you're a Lucha Underground star.
Yeah, Lucha Underground, June 13th.
There's the plug right there, getting them right out of the gate here. It's already been taped. What can you tell us?
I can tell you legally that it's gonna be awesome. They did already announce that it's gonna be a different setting. It's not too much different where it feels like it's not like out of this world. It has a nice mixture of familiarity with a little bit of different. The setting's really cool, and there's a lot of new characters being introduced as well for season 4. And specifically for me, for Ivelisse, for season 4, you're gonna see a lot of like badass solo in the sense of no love story stuff that I've never really been a fan of. But thankfully, season 4 is gonna be straight up Ivelisse badass, very much myself.
Baddest bitch in the building, right?
No love stories.
So you're not in the temple anymore?
It's a different setting. It's not the temple, but it's...
Not in Boyle Heights?
I don't remember that part, precise detail.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's definitely temple-esque still.
Okay. All right, well, we're very excited about this. I'm a big Lucha Underground fan. I've been to the temple. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's the best atmosphere in all professional wrestling. As a fan, what's it like to work in?
What's it like to work?
Like when you're in the ring working, what's that atmosphere like?
It's always very, what's the right word? Very, I don't know. What would be the perfect word for that? Just very...
Do you want a Spanish word here, maybe?
You feel like you're pretty much in a movie.
Okay, yeah.
Very cinematic, even when you get out in the ring, because they have a very, very good production for scenes. Like when we do filming, like the scenes and everything backstage, it always feels like you're doing a movie. And even when you go to the ring, you have that feel as well, because the production in the temple or the setting, the venue, is obviously incredible quality. So you always feel like you're in this like movie thing.
I love how you say where you're from, by the way, because when I say Puerto Rico, it sounds so boring. But when you say it...
Puerto Rico. Oh. Or, better yet, when Melissa Santos says it.
Yes. She puts the whole, Puerto Rico.
Juan, Puerto Rico. That's her.
That's a pretty good Melissa Santos, by the way. Wow.
I love her.
So tonight we're in Wynwood in Miami here, and you're going to be working with Sexy Star. Have you worked with her before?
I have in Lucha Underground. One-on-one, it's only been one time in Lucha Underground, and it was a very split reaction from the crowd. So we'll see what happens tonight.
Is now the best time ever to be a women's wrestler?
I would say yes, given all the finally positive attention that they're giving to the women's wrestling division everywhere. Whether it be major companies or even independent companies, they're finally getting behind us, and that feels awesome.
Did you know when you were signing on with Lucha that you'd be working intergender matches?
Yes, I did, and I was really excited about that because when I first started training, I trained with guys 99% of the time, and I got very comfortable with that. Actually, when I started wrestling women consistently was when I got signed with WWE long ago, and then I had to kind of adapt to that as well. But it kind of like felt good to get back to working with guys again. Like it's just a more like solid style. It just was unfortunate that I got injured.
Yeah, and you've had some injuries. Do you feel okay standing here in front of me right now?
Yes, thank God. It's been quite a battle, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and all. But thank God, I'm finally here, and I'm finally starting to pick up the momentum that I lost from the injuries.
Yeah, when you're a wrestler and wrestling is your job, what happens when you get injured?
Wrestling is my everything. I'm not just saying that. Like, I literally came to the U.S. with just luggage on my back and came to the U.S. to kind of create a life, and I'm by myself. So it's literally, it's like not even just like what my passion is and everything, it's my everything. Like I depend on it. Once that injury happened, that's why it hit me so hard, because it's not just, oh, she had an injury, it's everything that comes with it. Like, okay, I have an injury, okay, well, who's gonna help me take a shower? Who's gonna this, that, because I can't even move. Or if my bedroom's on the top floor and I'm top floor, how am I gonna be going up and down? Like, there's so much more that comes with an injury that is not like, oh, she just doesn't get to perform. There's so much more that comes with that. And if you're by yourself in a country that you've been trying to push yourself forward in, it's just a nightmare. So
I remember when you were doing the TNA gut check and you talked about how you coming to the US to wrestle actually kind of affected your relationship with your mom.
Actually, yeah. That thankfully now, throughout the years, it's definitely gotten a lot better. She's a lot more supportive. She actually helped me. I flew her in. I had to fly her in so that she could help me for like a week or two when I was injured and everything at home. And she's a hell of a lot more supportive now, but it did at first, just simply making the decision to embark upon taking on pro wrestling was initially really straining on our relationship.
But you've been so successful in this. Has that helped your mom kind of go, oh, this is a real career?
I feel like, yeah, that definitely did eventually. I feel like everybody, everyone around me, like all my family, everyone who knew me at first probably felt like that. But once they saw how dedicated I was and actually some fruit was coming from all that labor, then they were like, okay, then yes. It was kind of a double sting, just because, like, well, where was the support when I needed it the most? But sure. It's also like a sign of maturity to kind of understand where that comes from too. Like, it came from a good intention in the sense of like, well, they just, as how can I explain? Like, you're going into unknown territory. The same way that I would feel anxious about that, they would too if they care for me. So, yeah. So that's kind of how I chose to see it.
I recently talked with Matt Cross, son of Havoc. Wait, were you supposed to, do people know that he's son of, oh, now they do, I don't know. He wears a mask, so I'm just joking, it's fine. So I was recently talking with him, and he said that not making it on Tough Enough was actually the best thing to happen in his career, because he got great exposure through Tough Enough, and then the same producers ended up being the same producers working on Lucha. So it all kind of came around full circle. What was your experience with that?
My experience, like, I got signed after Tough Enough with WWE. Yeah. I feel like with Matt, like, everyone was so in shock from him, from his elimination from Tough Enough, that it also, like, it helped him throughout that time until the whole Lucha Underground thing came up. I feel like everyone, like, supported him, like, from that, and that also helps his personality, like, shine through, like, being the underdog too. So.
And when you got injured on Tough Enough, was it like, the next day they're like, all right, we'd like to sign you?
Oh, no, not at all. It was quite, I had to heal. First I had to heal. Then after that came the finale. I had to make sure that I was good to go for the finale. And throughout all that time frame, I always did what I had to do to network and meet who I needed to meet, show face and whatnot. And then after that, I was on it with contacting them, asking, any interest now, or then the next week, call again. Was following up. Wow. Was following up until they finally.
You annoyed them enough that they hired? Probably. No, I'm just joking. Because you'd be a perfect fit in what's going on in WWE right now. Do you kind of wish that you were there?
Yeah. It's kind of bittersweet, the fact that that's what I was actually trying to fight for when I was in WWE. I did it at the wrong time, I suppose. Just a little right before it was time to do that. And at that time, Bill DeMott was the person who was there, and he was kind of a big obstacle for what my goal was there for me. Yeah. So right before all this women's evolution, because right before, right after I was released was when Sarah Del Rey was signed and everything, which pretty much signified an actual change coming, but that was really, very bitter. I wish that I probably could have held on a little longer and maybe it would have been different, but that's life. I just kept, trying to shine whichever way, and we'll see what the future holds.
What's so difficult about Bill?
I only he would know the reasons per se, obviously.
Sure.
But he has a personality that can become rather quickly a bully type personality. For whatever the reason it is in his life, I don't know, but he has that type of personality, and eventually it'll catch up to you, because at first it works on fear with everyone around them, but then eventually it catches up. Like there will, like for an example, someone like me who has no fear of standing up for themselves, regardless if I see him and one punch from this person and I'd be down, but in my mind it's like I don't fear that, because if he were to choose to do something like that, then I would be suing him. So who wins in that kind of scenario? Right. Type of thing. So in my mind, I don't fear standing up for myself. So there's, a lot of people will be very fearful of that, but someone will always come along and stand up for themselves. And he was able to get rid of me at that point, but eventually it all stacks up on you.
And, well, now they've gotten rid of him, so it could be setting up the perfect scenario after Lucha's all done. They've taken great care of you, and people love you there. But this could be, a great door that could be still open for you.
Yes. So we'll see what the future holds. But I definitely want to continue being a part of contributing towards elevating women's wrestling. Yeah.
Why do you think that there's other companies that won't do intergender wrestling, but Lucha's, great at it?
Well, honestly, it's very tricky. It's very, very tricky. Everyone has their own perspective on everything, but particularly of intergender, my perspective is that it's very tricky, very delicate, because in the real world, right, if you punched me right now, I'd probably knock out a lot quicker if I punched you right now.
You are a professional wrestler, though.
But still, there's no comparison. It's just reality. So when we go out there, if our job is supposed to project reality to the people witnessing it, then some people have a hard time projecting that reality how it's supposed to be. That's the only time where I feel it's that's tricky.
If we look at the entire world of wrestling, male or female, who would you love to work with right now?
Independent scene, I would love to wrestle Madison Eagles. I've wrestled her before, but I think she's awesome, and I would like to do some more matches and create some good stuff with her. And in a major company, I would say, if I were to say WWE, I'd want to wrestle Asuka, because we have very, very similar wrestling styles, incredibly similar wrestling styles, and I think it would mesh really well to be kind of like a martial arts dragon, red dragon versus blue dragon type of thing. Yeah. And I'd really like that.
We'd like that too. Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you in the ring here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're awesome. Thank you.